Well, we are just deeply honored to be here in Texas, and we haven't physically been in Texas for a couple of years, but Cyber Texas is as good as we can get for now. Um, so I would like to read a brief passage from Whispers from Eternity, and then Maria will speak, and then I'll speak. This is from Yogananda's Whispers from Eternity. Salutations to the great preceptor, bearing the bliss of Brahma, happiness supreme, wearing the image of wisdom, beyond the dispute of any qualities, free as the limitless sky, knower of all there is to be known, thou perennial, taintless one, witness of all happenings, beyond all conception's boundaries, uncolored by good, bad, and active qualities. My ever-awake preceptor, I bow to thee.
A very hearty welcome to all of you as well. And it's supposed to snow like crazy here today. We have a little dusting already, and that is more to come. Our subject this morning is the divine ascension, and I felt to begin for my part, I wanted to share with you a story actually. I won't read it, I'll just say it from memory as best I can. The story is entitled Made with Love, inspired by the life of Saint Anthony. And it seemed that it would just tie in beautifully to this subject today about divine ascension. This is a story that I was inspired to write in my seclusion this last November. I wasn't looking to do any such thing. It just came as a gift. And it's sweet that it feels like the right thing to start with and share today for our topic. When I was reading one of my favorite accounts about the life of Saint Anthony, and I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about his life, a particular couple sentences really stuck out for me. And these described Saint Anthony weaving by hand some mats made out of palm fronds. And he weaved many of these. I'll go into that later. But the thought occurred to me, what happened to these mats? Where did they go? Who got them? What story could they tell? After all, these were made by a saint. The life of Saint Anthony has changed over time. He lived a couple of centuries, I think, after Christ, and was dedicated and devoted to him, a very spiritually deep individual. And his life changed the course of history. It changed the way people related to God. And in countless ways, unknown to most, his life influenced the lives of just everyday people. And it's this that this story is about. Anthony retreated at a certain point into the desert to live a very secluded life, a life of spiritual solitude and depth. And he, over the years, over the decades, because for the greater part of his life, he lived in solitude, not around people. He retreated further and further and further from people, even those who were close to him, even from those who saw Anthony as their own, as their spiritual teacher and guide. And on one of these retreats, he passed through a very simple settlement, and he asked a merchant there to help him. Anthony asked this merchant to bring him a couple times a year some bread, and in return, he would give to the merchant these woven mats. Now Anthony had learned how to weave these mats years before, decades before. He lived along the banks of the Nile River with his family. They were farmers and very successful. And when they passed, leaving Anthony by himself, Anthony became the landlord, the farmer. He was very good at all of this, and his family estate was worth a lot of money. And one day, Anthony, being very devout, he attended the local religious gathering, and he heard from the priest, "Take all that you have and give it to the poor." And Anthony felt this as his calling in that moment. He gave away everything, the land, the wealth, all of it. He had nothing left. And he set off down a simple road out of the village, out of the place that he had to this point called home. And very shortly thereafter, he met a man who had chosen a path similar to his. He lived very simply, and at Anthony's behest, he taught Anthony how to survive in the desert with very little water, with very little food, very little resources, a simple shelter, if even that. And he taught Anthony how to weave these mats as a way to give him something to do while he contemplated the inner reality, something to do so that he wouldn't think of himself and be preoccupied by self-interest, desire, and the like. So this merchant, honoring the request of Anthony, returned to Anthony's newfound mountain retreat. It was an arduous journey and no small undertaking for him to do this. And he delivered to Anthony the bread that he had asked for, and in return received the mats. And returning to his village, to his simple little stall that he had there with basic human necessities, he tossed the mats on the table with everything else. And there they sat until someone might take notice of them. Early in the morning the next day, a young woman, a mother-to-be, came along the road, and she spotted one of the mats that caught her attention. And she looked at it and thought, "This is so lovely. It would be beautiful in my home." And so she paid the merchant what he asked and tucked it under her arm and returned home. And when she arrived at home, it was a simple home. She carefully laid the mat on the hearth. It brightened up the whole room. And she tidied everything. She put everything in order. It all just looked so perfect, and she was so grateful. And in that vibration, she was drawn into prayer. And she prayed, and she gave thanks for all that she had been given in her life, her husband, her home, whatever they needed, albeit simple. Anthony surely didn't know, or did he, that this mat would end up in this home of one so devout and so grateful. But even so, and at the least, Anthony made this mat with so much love and this work of his hands. Days went by, and many of the mats were still there at the merchant's stall. It was a simple village, not many people there. And the sun was rising high in the sky. It was a day hotter than most days, if that can be imagined. After all, they were in a desert environment. And along came this man, dressed in rags. He looked tired. He looked thirsty. Life hadn't been kind to him, or so it seemed sometimes. He appeared to be struggling. The merchant's heart went out to him. The merchant knew he had nothing, that this man had no more than the earthen street to lie upon, to take rest, to take shelter from the heat. And the merchant offered this man one of the mats and gave it to him that he might find a safe place to rest out of the sun. The man walked further along the lane, and there in a bit of shade against a wall off to the side, he laid down the mat, and he himself lay down upon it. Instantly he was enveloped with a great peace, a great calm, and he fell asleep, for the first time feeling a kind of security, a kind of safety. When the man awoke, he felt rejuvenated, body, mind, and soul. He felt inwardly alive. And interestingly enough, from that day forward, his life changed for the better. He couldn't have pinpointed at what point things did become different as he looked back, but they did. They became different and they became better. And he vowed to be of help to others in whatever way he could going forward, as this kind merchant had been to him and unknown to him, as Anthony had touched his life. Days went by, perhaps weeks, and there were 1 or 2 mats left in the merchant's stalls. The wind picked up, and the dust and the sand blew everywhere. He couldn't tidy the space. He couldn't clean and present better the things that he had there to sell. The sand and the dust were everywhere. And then the wind came up even stronger, and it threw everything about, and it lifted the mats off from the table high into the air. Higher and higher they blew in this desert wind. Everything was asunder. The mats were carried even to faraway places, as sometimes happens in events like this, certainly to places that were unfamiliar. Higher and higher they were carried and torn apart by the wind, until suddenly the wind stopped, and everything in its own time fell to the ground. The mats, barely held together, just strings now of palm, landed on an unplowed field. And there they merged with the earth itself. The following year, for those who had eyes to see, this field bore a beautiful harvest. And upon this spot where these mats dropped, that was the prize harvest, the greatest of what yielded was in that spot. And so the things that are made by hand, the things that are made with a love for God and with God in our hearts, these carry the deepest vibration. And so it was with Anthony's mats. Did he know where they went? Did he know who had them? That part of the story we don't know. But I suspect on some level God revealed that to him as well. So I felt to share this story because one of the points made in this beautiful reading today is about vibration, capturing that vibration as we go forward in that quest for the divine, ever ascending, the power of that vibration to influence us, and in particular, the power of the vibration of the saints. Indian scripture says that even a moment in the company of a saint can carry us across the ocean of delusion. And I'm going to let Ananta now share about how we can draw on that consciousness and grace that uplifts our lives.
When Supriya read the reading, it begins with talking about what is the consciousness of a master who doesn't have an ego, who doesn't have a sense of separateness. And I think that consciousness would be fun for us to carry from Christmas forward into the new year, but to live in the consciousness of God's blessings to mankind through the avatars, Christ, Krishna, Buddha, all the others, the blessings of the saints who have attained that consciousness. And our job as truth seekers and disciples is to forge our lives in 2021. We have 5 days of 2021, and then 2022 in modern Texas, modern Plano and Farmers Branch and Dallas and Fort Worth and all the places that we are, but to act appropriately in the world, but not lose the blessings of Christ consciousness, not lose the blessings of the Christmas miracle, Christmas mystery, the reality that Babaji, Lahiri Mohashai, Sri Yukteswar, Yogananda, and Christ are with us in Texas today, in California too, but the reality that life, the life of God consciousness, is as it was for St. Anthony, as it is for the three Magi, as it is for Yogananda, 1893 to 1952, is for Kriyananda, 1926 to 2013. For us now, it's the same challenge. And what we have to do is we have to ignore more of the world, ignore the worldliness and the lower qualities that are surrounding us, no doubt, but to amplify and concentrate on the stillness of the spirit through meditation, service to others, and seeing all human beings as our brothers and sisters, all creatures. How do we do that? And of course, the teachings are to take time each day to enter into Christ consciousness. Block off 2 periods of time each day for meditation. Make them a reality, and essentially go to Bethlehem for an hour or half an hour in the morning, half an hour in the evening, whatever you can, but make it regular. Don't let the Christmas spirit sort of fall off into worldly consciousness when the world revs up again and the politicians start arguing and the Wall Street people and all the worldly influences. They're going to rev it up. We know it. They're taking a little break. I'm always glad that there's no Congress or House during Christmas week, because they stop their shouting, and it's much better. But to apportion regular times for meditation. Try to lengthen the time that you meditate gradually. Spend more of your time, and you can even sort of gauge your time. How much time on the way to work, back home from work, raising the kids, helping the kids with homework, doing the laundry, doing the shopping, doing all these day-to-day things that we all have to do. How much time are we aware that it's God through the instruments around us? This story of St. Anthony is important because, today we're not making mats. Maybe some of you make mats, I don't know. But most of us are, we're just doing various things. We're farmers, and we're computer geniuses, and we're big-time businesswomen, and all these things. But can we go through our day with the consciousness of the gifts that God is giving us, the intelligence that we've been given, to the brilliance of people that can program these computers, even Mark to make these Zoom calls happen. This is divine intelligence flowing through individuals, and divine intelligence flowing through all of us. And to live in that consciousness. Yogananda's foremost disciple was Rajarsi Janakananda. And he was a very successful businessman. He was a CEO. Master Yogananda kept him in Kansas City running his businesses, even though Yogananda was living in California in an ashram that Rajarsi bought for him. And Master Yogananda did not have Rajarsi come out to California until it was the right time. It was the very end of his life, of Yogananda's life, because he wanted all of us to see that self-realization and samadhi is the goal, and living in God, no matter what our dharma is. And all of us have dharma in Texas right now. We have kids to raise, and kids to put through college, and businesses to start, and stock shares to split, and law cases to educate. Whatever we have to do, are doing, do it with God. Feel God going through you, guiding you, giving you the intelligence, the insight, and thank God for that every day. And feel Yogananda's presence, Christ's presence every day. Behold, I'm with you even to the ends of the earth, is the way Christ put it. So keep that consciousness with you in every situation. And it may take some creativity to realize how God is helping you in that cubicle with thousands and thousands of little bits of data coming across your desk at a rapid rate. But it is God. It's God with you. God is the intelligence and the wisdom. God is the power, the insight, the intuition, the love. In this COVID world, we just pray for the doctors and the nurses and the scientists trying to get the vaccines and the medications and all the things. But it's all God. It's God serving God, God loving God. And you're part of that. That reading I read from Whispers, I'd like to just refer to it for a moment. But it's a prayer to the Guru, but I think that we need to realize that this is a reference to our own self, that you, each of us, we bear the bliss of Brahma. We bear happiness supreme. We are the image of wisdom, each one of us, beyond the dispute of any qualities, free as the limitless sky. It's important to think of yourself as free as the limitless sky, because you are free as the limitless sky. You are the little baby Christ consciousness. He's going to grow up. He's going to go off to India, spend 18 years with the Guru, come back, talk to the people. Some of them are going to listen, some of them are going to blow them off. And in the end, the Christ is risen, and the Christ is risen within you. We need to keep that in our concentration, in our meditation. If you're not a disciple of this path, practice the path that you've been given. If you're a Buddhist, if you're a Christian, if you're a Catholic, it doesn't matter what religion you follow. It's that you follow the religion mystically and realize how much God loves you, and then live in that on a day-to-day basis. That's the reason that Kriyananda founded Ananda. That's why we are Ananda, Texas, because this way of life, this consciousness of meditation and service and joy, and recognizing the joy that's all around us, is our job. It's our goal. And it brings us to the realization, as Rajasi, as Sister Gyanamata, Master, as Kriyananda attained, and the disciples over the years have attained, is that it's the purpose of life is to realize the self. So Christmas every day, that's the agenda. And all throughout the new year. And I don't care how loud the screaming is, and the politicians and the world leaders and the business people and the stock market and the Bitcoin and all that stuff. It's all good if it's done with love, with grace, and with sharing. And it's all bad if it's done with selfishness and greed and anger and lust and war and hatred. So it's real clear, focus on the Guru, think of the Guru, serve the Guru, but most of all realize you are a part of all that is. You are a part of the Guru, and the Guru is within you, and you have that love. The teachings of Yogananda is that we should all be Yoganandas. We should all be full of bliss and divine love. Yogananda was a Prem avatar. All of his disciples aspire to be Prem avatars. So with that, we have time for questions and answers. We'd love to hear what you all have to say about anything or want to know about.
You said that very well. Not only the entire message, but the y'all as well. So thank you for making this so pointed, meaning so that we Texas devotees realize, and I think we do, we try, but sometimes we feel so far away from other things, not from the Christ consciousness, hopefully. But we want to welcome now anyone, either in the chat box, or you know how to unmute yourself and speak directly to Maria and Ananta, and they will comment or answer questions. Feel free also to open cameras. It's really nice to see our shining faces. You're welcome to do that. It's not mandatory, but it's always welcome as long as you can stay still. So let's see I'm going to pause and open this up now.
I'm just going to say one more thing, Supriya. We're going to go ahead and come off of Facebook now so that if anybody feels, if it doesn't feel comfortable asking their question the whole world, we'll go ahead and take it off Facebook. And anybody who happens to be on Facebook, if you'd like to join us, please go to you can go to our website, anantadallas.org, and find the Zoom link there, and you can join us on Zoom. So thanks for joining us, anybody out there on Facebook. Okay, I'm on the wrong machine to do this. Okay, now we got it.
Okay, Ananta and Maria, I'm so happy to see you. Thank you for joining us. It's Michael Overton, and I wish you every day a happy Christmas as well. What a beautiful thought. And it's been like every day has been Christmas for me. You know, I had my oldest daughter over to celebrate the solstice, but we had to do it on the 22nd. And we played this game and just had a riot. And then, you know, a board game. And then I went with my wife to her St. Luke's, she's Lutheran, for Christmas Eve. And they have there a lady who goes to SMU, who's probably going to be in the Dallas Opera one day. And she was singing Oh Holy Night, which my father loved to sing when I was a boy, because he always had a great voice. And oh my goodness. And also the organist is the professor. Her professor is the organist there. So just every day as a Christmas is what I would wish for everybody listening in here. And I just love that idea. Thank you. And just so beautiful to see you. I remember the one time I picked you both up at the airport, and it's like, oh, I just don't remember anybody that sweet that I ever picked up, and just so beautiful. You know how a plane ride can be, but it's like none of that was even around your consciousness. And it's like, oh, this is great.
Now they don't let you on airplanes.
I just wanted to say I'm glad to hear that you guys are getting some moisture this winter. I hope that's working out okay for the farm. And I don't know. Do you grow anything during the winter, or is this not growing season for you for anything?
We have been praying so hard to Divine Mother to end the drought on Ananta Farm. We've been here 50 years. Ananta Farm this is our 50th growing season. This is the first time that the pond ever went dry. It's that bad a drought. So the last couple of weeks, in the last 2 months, we've gotten enough rain to fill the ponds. So we have the water to grow. The only thing that we're growing is in the greenhouses, because it's snowy, a little bit of snow. But we do have the water to grow. The other greenhouse is full of persimmons. We're selling Hachaya persimmons. I wish I could ship them to you guys, because we still have 300 pounds. So I bring home the really soft ones, and Maria blends them up. And then we put them into dryers and we freeze them. And so our kitchen is the processing of the farm, and Maria is the processor, and I bring them home. And there's no one else working for us right now. But it's that prayer that, Divine Mother, you've got to help us, because if we don't, another year of drought, and we just wouldn't be able to grow anything next year. So there's a lot of gratitude at the village on the part of all the disciples, thanking Divine Mother and remembering that everything comes from her. And so when it's a drought, it encourages you to remember that. So it's been very nice. And the village has been praying for all of Ananda around the world. Last week, Maria and I were in India on Zoom, and we were doing satsang in the Ananda India family. And now we're in Dallas, and Dallas is in India, and it is one world family under God. So there are some advantages to COVID, and I'm really glad that you can do the technology, Mark, because me and Maria can barely change a Google address. We are hopeless.
No, we've really been enjoying the pictures of the village and the snow from various sources. That's wonderful to see, and it was 84 degrees here yesterday, so slightly different. We're kind of envying the snow,
They've already shut down the interstate between here and Tahoe, so
Wow.
yeah.
Are you sure there's not a way that we could get you to ship some of those persimmons? I'll send you, I'll Venmo you or whatever money. I love persimmons. I tried to plant a tree, but I think it didn't make it. And so I just love, and they're so pretty too in the wintertime. Just so beautiful.
This is a tree that Honel, our teacher, planted here when we were 20 years old. So
I think I remember it. Isn't it over by the market area?
Yes.
There it is with those beautiful orange globes in the wintertime. And oh my gosh. I mean, seriously, I'll email you. We've got to do something about that. We'll help you out.
All right. Well,
Well,
Actually,
Eric.
hey, good to see y'all. Hey, it's interesting. There's a movie, or not a movie, there's a TV series that is crowdfunded. It's the largest, it's called The Chosen. Have you heard of it?
no.
It's,
I
it's
think
about
I've seen it on
it's
YouTube.
about Jesus and
Yeah.
his ministry, and
Uh-huh.
it's the largest crowdfunded movie in the world. I think it's been viewed about 150 million times. But individuals all over the world are funding this T series. And I tell you what, you know how Zeffirelli's Jesus of Nazareth is so great? Jesus is so great.
Yeah.
Check this one out.
Okay.
This Jesus, it's more like you and me if we showed up today, all of us,
Uh-huh.
to Jesus Christ, but it's back then, but it brings it so alive. And so that's what we've done. We kind of binge watched The Chosen, like about 15 episodes over the last week, because it just thrilled us.
Oh.
And so anyway, I think the world is getting a nice gift with that.
Well, the thing that I noticed about Christ, the movies about Christ, is that the people in Ananda, Dallas, the truth seekers of today, in Boston and the United States and the world, Europe, Africa, Asia, Mexico, South America, there are always true truth seekers. And they're seeking the divine, and we are just so lucky that we have been given the techniques, we've been given the lifestyle, we've been given the teachings that allow us to come to the Christ consciousness in the midst of a world that's largely not interested in spirituality or true spirituality, an unfortunate reality. And we don't want to dwell on that. But the reality of it is that the people that Ananda Dallas offers to the people and all the other Ananda centers is this opportunity to learn how to commune with the Christ, to, when Supriya was describing, tense the body, relax the body, breathe deeply. It's simple, but it needs to be shared with people because people don't know how to commune with the Christ consciousness. They don't know how to still their minds. They don't know how to withdraw from the external reality. And it's just a great work that y'all are doing to share that truth with the people, the receptive people. And you know what Jesus said about the people that wouldn't hear his message, take the dust off your feet because it's not going to go good for them. So let's not concentrate on that. Let's just go forward, keep the doors open, keep the web casts going, and invite as many as receive him to give them the power to become the children of God.
One thing I was thinking of was, just coming back to a moment in the company of a saint. Just over the decades now, I've heard so many times people share an experience where they felt, a direct answer to a prayer, or felt Swamiji's presence, no longer in the body, Master's presence, no longer in the body, whatever saint, just that immediate response that comes to the sincere devotee, the sincere disciple. It is immediate, it is tangible. It doesn't matter when we live, it doesn't matter where we live, it doesn't matter what we're doing. You know, that moment with a saint, that moment with higher consciousness just cuts through everything. I had someone share with me the other day a story on the heels of this story I shared with you, and they had been given a handmade sweater by Seva, our dear sister Seva, who recently left her body. And they didn't know what to do with it. I don't know, maybe it was just nicer than what they normally wear, or didn't know what occasion to wear it at, and just sort of tucked it aside. And after Seva passed, this person took out that sweater and thought, oh, I can wear this in meditation. And they had just always felt a lack of warmth in the area of the heart when they meditated. A very sincere, deep meditator, but just cold there. This person has a very slight frame. I don't know if that had anything to do with it on a physical level. But they shared with me that the minute they put that sweater on, they just felt warmth in the heart and the heart expanding. And again, it's just one of those reminders of really how easily, as Ananta was saying, you know, we have the gift, we've been given the gift of these teachings in this life, in this world, in this chaos. And it just cuts through everything and brings us to the feet, you know, the feet of the Guru, the feet of higher consciousness. So just such a great blessing. I don't think any of us have the words, but there it is. So,
You know, we had the blessing of having Nayaswami, Maria, and Devarshi here in Texas, literally the week before she had the MRI to confirm that the cancer had returned. And in my words, it was a very challenging week for her here. She would probably never have said that. And it was a lot of pain going on. Dr. Peter had to be called. And still the weekend, Kriyaban weekend, went on beautifully. In fact, so beautifully that Devashi even said that Maria's talk at our Sunday service, he almost didn't have words. He said that was one of the, I'm just going to use the word, my highest messages that he felt she had ever given. And we had that blessing here. And I say that because that's another great saint. And this is another Maria, by the way, for the other people. Yes, these two are saints, guaranteed. But I'm talking about, I can't even think of their last name.
Potopovskaya.
oh, Warner.
Warner was her
Thank you.
other name, but her first name was Maria Potopovskaya.
There you go. From what country?
Russia.
Thank you, from Russia. And I say all that because we've had so many blessings to meet so many, some still in the body saints, but then also out of the body saints. And I was given a blue t-shirt from Land's End of Maria Warner's after she passed. And when I wear that shirt, it is such a conscious, it's like I'm putting on the bob of a saint. And it helps me tremendously when I wear that t-shirt often because it's the right color and it's the right size and everything. But I was applying that to the woven mat. Maria McSweeney, thank you so much for sharing that story, because the woven mats of St. Anthony, you know, I think we can take all of that into our lives. I was thinking, well, I don't weave mats, but I chop a lot of carrots. Yes. And so when I chop carrots to bring this afternoon to my family's house, you know, it's like we put our energy into it and we don't even know how that's going to, it's not our energy, it's God's, the Christ energy, and how we're going to affect other people. But we don't have to know. We just need to do it. So thank you for sharing that story of St. Anthony. And I want to ask, was it St. Anthony of Padua or another Anthony? Do you know?
Anthony of the Desert.
Thank you. Oh, that's what he's called. Okay, I'm going to research that. Thank you.
The version I love is from the book Saints That Move the World, and it's just written, it's written well, and that's the one I usually go to.
Hey, by the way, there was one other thing I wanted to mention about that Chosen. The reason I mentioned it was because The Chosen was filmed in Texas.
Oh, of course. Yes.
Yay!
It's filmed about 50 miles to the west of Supriya. You know where she lives? In Weatherford, Texas.
All right.
Wonderful.
That is fantastic.
Now I'm going to really have to watch it because I've been, one of my sons lives and grandchildren live there in Weatherford. So and I've been there many times.
Weatherford kind of has that medieval look, you know.
It does. It's country.
Wow.
That's fantastic.
Lots of good things about Texas.
I wanted to just thank all of you for the affirmation for Ananta, Texas going forward. What is the expression that Master wants to give us? And this is something we should do for congregations, but also as individuals, is, Master, what's the next step for me? What do I do in the new year? And I like the affirmation. You know, Maria and I went to Swami Kriyananda, sent us to Ananda, Sacramento, and we just, when we got there, we just had 2 houses that were ashram houses in a neighborhood, and that was good for the time. And then eventually we just started asking, Master, what do you want to do? What do you want us to do? And bit by bit, we gathered a group of people, and we took an apartment, and we rented a bunch of units in it, and then we bought an apartment, and then we bought the temple next door that used to be a Church of Christ, and we bought that, and that's the Ananda Sacramento Mandir. But we just kept affirming, Master, just guide us and then give us what we need at the time we need it. And it took 5 years for us to go from the 2 houses to owning the apartments, and it took another 14 years to get the temple. But eventually we got it, and it was, I mean, the journey itself was as much fun as the victory, the success, because we did it with Master. And so he would send us on wonderful wild goose chases, and I looked at 140 apartment buildings to buy. I was about at wit's end when we found one, but it was fun because each day you'd get up and say, Master, what can we do? And we'd have a fundraiser, we'd have an Italian dinner, we'd have something. I remember one day we were trying to buy a 48 unit apartment complex. We had a total of $750. And I don't know. That would be a low down payment for $1.5 million. But anyway, it worked out. So we just go forward, and in our own lives, what can we do, Master? Should I meditate? Maybe I could meditate an hour in the morning, and maybe I could meditate an hour at night, and maybe I could, teach how to meditate, at the center or online or something. It's just, or maybe, I just need to take care of these kids and teach them how to read, or, whatever it is. It doesn't, our individual dharma is different. And each of Master's foremost disciples, Rajasi was a businessman. Sister Gyanamata was completely liberated. She was the head of the nuns. and she just lived with the nuns. For a while they didn't have a bed for her, so she slept in the laundry room on a cot. And she was a liberated saint. And Dr. Lewis was a dentist, and then he retired and moved to the ashram. Kriyananda was the young 22-year-old, young minister. Master made him the head of the monks. It's individual karma. We don't need to know what the year 2022 is going to bring us, except that we know that we're going to just try and come closer to God every day. We're trying to go deeper in meditation, open our hearts more, serve more, have more fun, serve with more joy, be more entertained by the movie. Because, the movies, it seems to be a horror film at times, but it's not really. It's actually a comedy. And whether it's filmed in Texas or not, it's definitely the best movie to watch. But Master just kept with the disciples, and Kriyananda did that to the very end. I mean, we didn't know year to year what direction Kriyananda was going to go in. At the very end of his life, they said he said, I might go into seclusion for a long time in India. And I thought, no, you're not going to go into seclusion. You're going to check out and go live with Master in the astral world. And that is what happened. So Seva passed away. She had been at Sunday service. Seva was a nun at Ananta for 50 years, head of the nuns. And last month she went to Sunday service. And then she went to the Shrine of the Masters. And then she came home and said she didn't feel well and laid down on her bed and had a heart attack and went home. So perfect. Just, no illness. Dr. Peter ran across the courtyard. He lived 100 feet away. By the time he got to Seva, she was already left the body. So it's a different script for each of us. But as long as we're moving closer to God, we're in good shape.
Does anyone want to offer a comment or a question to Ananta and Maria? Because we're going to very soon let them go play in the snow. So we like to pause here now and just see anyone. Open cameras, questions. So here Alex put in the chat box, it's like Swami Satchidananda says pranayama all day long, 24/7.
Well, they're suggesting 2 feet of snow here tonight, so definitely supportive for meditation. Can't do anything else or get anywhere.
And we had the great blessing of having Swami Satchidananda come and visit Ananda more than once. He had the greatest respect for Kriyananda, and we had the greatest respect for him. He was a great, great saint, and his legacy is a wonderful blessing in this world. The Integral Yoga Institute. I. He would say I. Why I? Why I? A great saint.
I just want to thank you both. You've all been such great support of our Sangha over the years. And, just coming in, swooping in, Master guiding you, and just the perfect timing. I remember, I guess it was your last visit, which was super special. And we just so appreciate all your support and can't wait to see you in person again when,
Well, we really, just to see you all there and think back of all the time that we've spent serving Master. Mayatri was only 3 years old when she lived here, so, but and now her son's in college. So the time goes by so quickly, and yet, the funny thing with Seva gone is that Seva's not gone. Kriyananda's not gone. They just dropped the body because the body wore out. But we live in eternal, ever new joy, and it doesn't change. The The men age a lot faster than the women. That's for sure. But the masters don't. We don't age in that. We're bearing the bliss of Brahma. So God bless you all. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.